Delta, Dev Group, all these. This was a gun they used for close quarter combat, and that was the gun of choice. Why? Because it's so accurate, it's small, it was maneuverable, all that stuff. Up until kind of the late 80s, when those guys carrying these guns against bad guys armed with AKs didn't turn out so well. So in the late 80s, we started to see the top tier units get away from the MP5 as their primary CQB gun. So you think about HK. What did HK have in 5.56 at that time?
A 53.
53, right? It was the only real gun that would kind of compete. So when the units started to have problems with that, we started to get requests from these units for sample G3Ks and sample HK53s, looking for a rifle caliber gun, small, they could use for CQB. Remember at that time there wasn't an M4, it was before the M4. So you had the Colt 727s and things like that. I knew that day in the late 80s that we were going to lose that MP5 business, because you could see where the tier 1 units would go, the other soft units would go, federal law enforcement would go, and then law enforcement. That's what we see with the M4, right? Started in those units, worked its way down into law enforcement. We didn't have a gun to compete, and we looked at an HK53 variant, but the Germans didn't believe they would ever lose that business of the MP5, even though we told them its days are numbered in U.S. soft anyway. And it wasn't until that gun became available in 2003, when that gun first was in production, and it replaced basically this gun in those same units. And then it made that same transition to HRT, people like that, because it's the top tier units used it. So we talk about how important that is when you hear the stories about Delta and Dev Group adopting foot gear, night vision, whatever. That's so important. That's like putting your shoes on the Super Bowl team. Because once everybody else sees that, you can say that the best salesmen for HK416 weren't HK guys, it was those units using that product. And it's still in use in those units today. So it's really interesting to see this pair of guns here, kind of old school, no longer compete against the enemy, because the enemy was using AKs against these guns, and they went to rifle caliber, and it turned out to be. And I remember the day that first gun was adopted by Delta, 2003. I thought we have just made that transition, where we lost that business to Colt, and the M4s and 727s, we got it back, and HK still got it. They're still using those guns. So it's kind of an interesting thing I like about the history of HK, of those things you won't see anywhere else. And then you can throw this gun in over here, and that's kind of made that transition too, right? Used by certain units for that very same role. Very fast moving, lightweight gun, very accurate, very easy to shoot. So, I was looking at you guys shooting these side by side, thought there's a piece of history right there we should talk about. When I